We're just going to give it a couple of minutes to allow for more people to join us, and then we will start. So just a little bit of housekeeping. If we could all have our mics on mute whilst the panelists are debating. If you have a question, please do drop it in the chat or drop it in the Q&A section of Google Meet, and then we'll address that towards the end of the evening. I would like to invite everyone to introduce yourselves in the chat. You know the drill. We need your name, location, what you're hoping for, what you're hoping to gain from tonight. The last time we had a webinar, we actually had someone from Texas. How they found us, I don't know, but I welcomed it. I loved it. We had someone from Texas. We had people from India. So let's see how far we can get tonight. But yeah, so introduce yourselves in the chat, your name, location, and what you're looking to get from tonight. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media. You can scan the QR code in the on the page right here to join us on, I think it's our Instagram page over there. So in a few minutes, we are going to start. We're going to have our panel discussion. That's going to be about 50 minutes long. Actually, it's going to be an hour and 10 minutes long. I can't count. And then after that, we're going to have a Q&A, and that's going to be for about 25 minutes. So please do, any questions you have, pop it in the chat, pop it in the Q&A. And then when we do get to the Q&A session, do not be shy to come off mute and ask your questions verbally. Okay, this is an open and safe space, and everybody is welcome to be polite, and ask us questions, as burning questions. It's the one chance to connect to people working in the industry, working in roles that you're aspiring to be in. So please do take full advantage of this opportunity. Okay, I can see in the chat that we have Emma from Birmingham. Big up Birmingham. Here to gain some wisdom, insights, and knowledge. So who else do we have? We only have Emma in the corner, apparently. We don't have anybody else. So thank you, Emma, for spending your evening with us. And nobody else who's spending the evening with us and like to introduce themselves? No, everybody's shy. For those who don't know me, I've just started this. I always do this. I'm really guilty of this. I just started on a rant and jumped straight into the session. But my name is Hannah. I am the community and impact manager here at NEO. And I absolutely love hosting, planning, and delivering these sessions for you guys. So at the end of the meeting, you will get an email asking for feedback. And as part of that feedback, I do ask, what else do you want from us? What other topics do you want us to explore? I read every last one of those feedback surveys. So please use that opportunity to tell me what you want so that I can deliver it. I'm planning for next year already because we already have a full calendar up until the end of the year. So I'm planning for next year, and your insight will be absolutely imperative for me to deliver really impactful sessions for you. So back to the chat, we have Tudun. I love that you put Tundu, you put in brackets how to pronounce. Here joining us from London, and here to learn from the panel about how you can pivot your career. Absolutely brilliant. Again, if you have any questions, drop it in the chat, drop it at the end during the Q&A, and let's really explore how you can pivot your career. And then we have Natasha from Birmingham again, moving into freelancing for a day job. Amazing, and would love to get some good insight. Absolutely fantastic. You are in the right spot. Seems like we've attracted all the right people here tonight, and we are super excited to have you guys here. Okay, so I am about to hand over, but before I do, I'm just going to let somebody else in, and then find all the panelists so I can pin them to the chat so that everyone can see them. Okay, just bear with one moment. Kani, lovely to see you. Rashida from London, lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us. So that's it from me ranting, and I would like to hand over to Carissa so that she can lead the session and introduce you to your panelists tonight. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So on our panelists today, we have Barbara, Precious, and Adriana. So who would like to go first? Barbara, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Carissa. Hi, everyone. My name is Barbara Antonio Cafor. By day, I lead revenue and partnerships at Intuit MailChimp, working across the UK and Europe to help agencies and businesses through strategic and group partnerships. Alongside, I work as a fractional executive, which we can also call freelancing, and also as a consultant supporting early stage startups and founders to move from ambition to traction, whether that's through sales strategy, business development, or ecosystem building. I also freelance as a mentor and advisor with a special focus on inclusive pathways in tech and the future of work. My sweet spot, I would say, is helping organizations create uh, growth that is both scalable and sustainable. And that's the bit about me.
Perfect. Thank you. Adrian, would you like to go next? Are you further?
Mute. Hi, my name's Adrienne, and I am a business development and events specialist. So I've got over 20 years experience. I also have moved into tech. I'm a social media officer for a local charity in Reading, where I'm based, and also I'm a tutor. So I teach primary school age children that are preparing for SATs or the 11 plus.
Thank you. And last but not least, Precious, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Precious Orisadere. I'm a software engineer specialized in front end. I work with Code Fund House and Tobam Technologies, and along the side, I use my skills to make money for myself because I love money a lot. So yeah, that's what brought me into freelancing. Outside of work, I enjoy open source, so I do a lot of open source contribution. I also volunteer as mentors. I'm currently a mentor with a Newton Foundation, WeTech as well. And when I'm not doing anything that has to do with mentoring or tech generally, I just relax, press my phone, and watch movies. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So let us just get started then. So I would say this is just to the panel. So in one sentence, can you complete this? Freelancing taught me ... Which one of you want to take it?
Freelancing taught me to be solution oriented.
Anybody else want to take that?
I'd say freelancing taught me the importance of collaboration. Yeah,
Okay.
collaboration.
Overall, what is one thing about your journey that you think might surprise some people here today?
One thing about my journey is I never had a tech background.
Okay.
Yeah, right from, I'm from Nigeria, so right from primary school, secondary school, university, I always ran away from anything that had to do with tech or maths. But somehow I found myself here, so yeah, that's always surprising for people.
Okay. So overall, this is just to the panel, anybody can answer. Kind of take us to one specific moment when freelancing went from an idea to that I'm actually doing this. Like, what was going through your mind when you kind of came to that thought?
If I could go first. So in my experience, freelancing wasn't something that I set out to do. I didn't have an actual structure, and I didn't wake up one day saying, I'm going to be a freelancer. I think the culmination and cultivation of various skills pretty much put me at an advantage that some of those skills were sought out outside of my day-to-day job. So I had people or certain old bosses or past colleagues or clients once upon a time reaching out to me like, hey, Barbara, I'm looking to do XYZ. Can you do XYZ for me? So that was how it started out for me. That was how it started for me. There was no structure to it. It was just, oh, a great way to make extra money or an incentive to make extra money in my pocket. That's how it started. And for me as a fractional executive, even till now, I have never actually put out like an ad or did anything extraordinary to get clients, though my work has mostly been referrals. Because and so for me, it's been at that point of always constantly sharpening my skills and delivering excellent, exceptional work for people that I get callbacks and I get referrals. So for me, the bulk of my freelancing work or gig has always been very community driven. At some point, I did think about diversifying or trying to put myself out there, like Upwork and the likes of them. Some opportunities came from those mediums, but the bulk of it has always been community driven. In 2021, I actually booked my actual first international consultancy gig, and was some expert research company finding me on LinkedIn and asking or looking through my experience, and it was about a partnership that I drove with Canva once upon a time. So they looked at that experience. I think they had clients in that space, and like they reached out to me, hey, can you do XYZ and we'll pay you XYZ? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. And it was me pretty much just booking a 40 minutes call to come tell or answer certain questions about how I went about securing a partnership with Canva. Back then it was a big deal. And I got paid like $300, for that 40 minutes call. So that was how I pretty much said, that was when I decided, okay, I'm going to go full time on this and just build out that part of my portfolio outside of my day-to-day.
Thank you. Adrian, would you like to add anything to this?
Yeah. I would say, as Barbara said, in terms of doing freelance, it's not something that I set out to do, but I have an interest in tech anyway, especially tech for good. And I have had experience of working in ed tech for an online university, so I have an interest in it because it is a hobby of mine. So I enjoy doing it and learning about tech. So it was just something that kind of made sense at this time, and it gives me more flexibility. Rather than being in the office all the time, you can like choose when you work and where you work. So I think it's a good option, especially if you've got transferable skills as well, because a lot of people don't realise what they do as their day job they can do as freelance rather than having to retrain and do like courses and spend a lot of money. Just utilise what you have already in terms of your knowledge and skills.
Perfect. Precious, this question is for you. What do you think was like the scariest part of that decision to kind of go and be a freelancer?
Can you come again?
What do you think was like the scariest part of that decision to become a freelancer?
I think the scariest part of it was the uncertainty at some time. I mean, for every freelancer, there are some times where I'll call it your boom period. You always have clients coming in, and there's some times where you're just in the wilderness, and say 2-3 months there's no gig coming in. So I think that's the scariest part, but I found a way to balance it, whereby I still had an employment that gave me my monthly money, and then the freelancing was just extra. And most times when I get one gig, the money I get from it usually covers like say my 3 to 4 months salary, right? So that was how I was able to balance that fear. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone else on the panel? Barbara, would you like to add, like, was there anything that was really scary about becoming a freelancer? Adrian?
So my approach to this is not very mundane because, like I said previously, I didn't set out to be a freelancer. It was an opportunity that I found myself in, and I grabbed it with both hands. And so there are, like Precious mentioned, there are dry spells. Yeah, there are periods where there's nothing, zilch, no one is asking nothing. But having an actual full-time job helps. Secondly, one of my favorite things about me is that I'm very solution oriented. I wouldn't say I have necessarily like been hell bent on going out there to sell people on my freelancing work. People just always just referred me or XYZ. But that does not mean that I don't do networking on my own. So yeah, my day-to-day job, I work in the intersection of sales and partnerships. So that alone puts me in the face of people. So I'm consciously and continuously selling myself. Yeah, not on purpose, but talking about this or that. And so it comes with that whole multi-pronged approach of this is how I balance it out. Also, at some point, and I'm still grappling with that thought, is me then actually thinking of making it more structured and building a business full time out of it. It's still something I'm still balancing. Yeah, it's still something I'm still figuring out, just to make it more structured and just so I can better manage my time. Because yeah, Precious mentioned she's Nigerian. I'm also Nigerian, Igbo woman for that matter. I love money. I love the good things of life. So and I'm also very energetic. So there's just always that, I wanna do fun, engaging, and challenging projects. I want to be able to collaborate. So sometimes over the past 2 years, I've had other fractional executives, put that in bracket, freelancers. Yeah, but we'll call ourselves fractional workers or whatever. I've had other fractional workers reach out to me on LinkedIn, just want to just pick my brain, or what do you do? How do you go about this? Or are you open to collaborating? So I've had people who had certain gigs they were working on, who needed my special skills, reach out to me to collaborate. And that was the kind of like paid gig for me through those relationships, or through those people just going in my DM and asking me XYZ. And I've also been at that point where I'm also referring people to, but also being very careful around referring people, because that also might interfere with your own business. But that's where being very structured, being very critical about who you're referring, how you're delivering solutions to clients, and how you're actually being impactful and ensuring that things work out well for them.
Jane, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I do. In terms of community, I think it's very important, and I will mention a few communities that I'm part of. So I would say, once you're starting out, it is good to connect with other people, whether it's on LinkedIn or like face-to-face networking. So personally, the ones that I would recommend are Coding Black Females, Girls Talk London, and Colour in Tech. So Girls Talk London are behind the Black Girls Tech Summit, and Colour in Tech are behind Black Tech Fest. So in terms of, I think, developing a community of other people that are interested in tech or want to do freelancing, I think it does help in order to network and obviously do partnerships with people, and just kind of ask people that are further along how they're doing and how they did it. So I think most people are quite happy to like give advice and speak if they're, you know, in the same industry, and you show an interest in what they're doing, and they'll show an interest in you as well. So it kind of helps to be part of a community or communities.
Okay, so we will continue with you, Adrienne. Can you what advice would you have to give someone who's experiencing fear of like becoming a freelancer right now? Is there any tips or tricks that you would have for them?
I would say, again, it's probably worth doing some research before, so you know what you want to go into, like, because there's so many areas of tech. what you want to specialize in and kind of what makes you tick in terms of what you want to get out of your career. You could have an interest in developing or UX design or project management, or there's or design in general. So there's also, I'm a social media officer, so you could be interested in the kind of social media side and like the content creation side of tech. So it's important to understand kind of what you want to do and where you want to go before you actually start. Because if you just kind of decide to kind of give up your day job, it puts you in quite a precarious position financially. And then the pressure of that stops you from actually doing what you want to do versus, oh, I have to make money. And I think that's too much pressure. Usually, for most people, I would say, and also have a safety net in terms of savings and kind of have a plan. I would say don't just kind of jump into it. Oh, it does seem very like exciting and like fast paced, but the reality hits if you don't have the financial foundation, and then you're having to like literally scramble to do anything, and that will make you miserable. And I don't think that's a good idea, especially if you want to pivot into a new career, because it's already a transition anyway. So that's my advice.
Thank you. Precious, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think Andrea has said most of it, but what I will also point out is to try to do something you're passionate about. For myself, I'm passionate about money. Anything that brings me money, I'm passionate about it. But I choose tech because I've always loved challenges, and I before I ventured into tech, I tried to do some research, just like Andrea has said, and I tried to pick a niche of tech that I was passionate about. So growing up, I've always loved art. I've always loved, sketching and visualizing stuff. I've always been a problem solver, and I've always loved math a little. So that was why I ventured into software engineering. And when I ventured into software engineering, I picked front end specifically because I enjoy the joy of writing code and visualizing it. While most developers used to be scared of CSS during the early time, I was always, fascinated by CSS. I went even in depth into learning how to animate things just because I love art. So that speaks to passion as well. So when you're doing freelancing, it's not going to be all rosy. There's going to be some part of some time when you're just tired, maybe because of workload or any other challenges you're facing. But that passion behind why you went into what you do is what's going to drive you to not, stop at that point of it. So that's just what I want to add as well.
Barbara, do you have anything else to add? Do you think it's been covered?
Yeah, my other fellow panelists mentioned something around pivoting. I am someone whose core experience and career experience has been filled with multiple pivots, and the key to that has just been having transferable skills. I started my career in communications, but nobody remembers that today. Yeah, I started my career as an internal communications personnel for an investment banking firm. And I think a year or two into that role, my country was hit with the recession, and the company had to downsize, and the first couple of people to go were the cost centers. And then losing my job at that point was just it was hurtful amongst multiple things, like, being a young adult trying to navigate having bills and everything. So I then decided that the next role that I go into has to be something very important to the company. And what other thing was more important to a company than revenue or money? Money is a big motivator. If you're bringing money to a company, they're going to think multiple times before they think of letting you go if shit ever hits the fan, pardon my French. So it was then me trying to learn skills that were required for that, so business development and whatnot. And so I pretty much have a hands-on experience across multiple sectors in revenue and partnerships. So whether it's event management, banking, startups, printing, name it. I think the only industry that I haven't actually worked in is in funeral services. Yeah, but just like how Precious said that, oh, money is a big motivator. It is for me. Yeah. So if you're passionate about that, that's what I'm passionate. I'm passionate about being stable, about having stability. So that's why like my brain is always like, oh, I can see problems. I can see problems even in solutions when people are talking to me. There's that conscious curiosity. So even in having discovery calls with clients in my day-to-day job, or people are telling me, oh, this is one fantastic thing, my brain is also thinking, oh, what's the next big thing or the next opportunity that can come out from this? Yeah, so just that conscious curiosity, having and tapping into all of the skills. Continuous learning is also part of it. Yeah, so ensuring that every, like during COVID or at the peak of COVID, when we had that lockdown, lots of people took it as a way to actually go back to learn and take up a few courses, because nobody knew the uncertainty of it pretty much forced people to, okay, what do I want to do next? So being prepared and finding a way to always stay prepared regardless of whatever it is a great way to leverage on that. To flex that freelancing muscle, to be useful, to be very solution oriented, to seek out expertise and things to be able to help you move on. So, but at the crux of it is seeing yourself. So when you're in the peak of freelancing, you need to start thinking of yourself as a startup founder, as a business, because that's what you literally are. There's that key thing about, stability and not ensuring that, just trying to ensure that you have runway as a business person while still doing whatever it is. So there's also that space for reinventing and investing in your business, which is you learning new skills, networking, finding new resources. So you're able to build out a solid pipeline of clients or referrals or recurring clients or people that can call you for XYZ things. So that's what I have to add there.
Thank you, Barbara. That's really insightful. Thank you. So I'm going to take everybody on the panel kind of back, and I want you guys to kind of think about when you had your first real yes from a client. What do you think kind of sealed that deal for you? Adrian, do you want to go first?
Oh, I would say the role that I'm doing now. So I've been doing it for a few months now. So I think that was the first yes in terms of like my freelance career, because I'm kind of very early stages in it. But yeah, so it was positive in the sense that I've not done this role in a professional sense before, but I love content creation. I love Instagram and Facebook, and anyone that follows me know that I love events. So I post about that. I have an events blog as well, and an events newsletter that I publish quarterly. So it's something that I do as a hobby and something that I'm interested in. So I'm very aware of social media, and I'm not on it constantly, but I'm aware of kind of the trends and what's happening now and potentially what could happen next. So I make sure I'm aware of that and I keep up to date with it. But yeah, so it's something that I enjoy anyway. So it's less, oh, I have to do it, that I want to. So I've got lots of ideas, lots of ways of actually improving reach and engagement. And so, yeah, it's something that's exciting for me in terms of a role and a project. So.
Do you think that you being able to kind of keep up to date with the trends has been really helpful for your freelancing career so far?
Yes, because tech and social media is part of tech. It goes hand in hand, I think, is very fast paced. So there's always changes within the landscape, and there's always new tools and new ways of communicating with people and new ways that people interact with social media and use it. So it is quite an exciting aspect of tech, and it does inform tech in general. And like, yeah, so it is very useful and very powerful, but used in the right way. I would say used in a way to do positive things rather than negative. So that's what I like to focus on as well.
Okay, thank you for that. Barbara, when did you have your first real yes from a client? What do you think kind of sealed that deal for you as well?
I've had multiple yeses, so I find it hard to actually narrow down the first one. But I would definitely say that it felt good. But the key to it was knowing your stuff, like that confidence, projecting that confidence of being an expert and being like having the deep, insightful knowledge of what it is that they're looking for. That so that way they're able to see you as the key, the solution to the problem they actually have. So that confidence, it's very important, and what gives you that confidence is actually the knowledge, actually knowing, not just knowing but applying. And how you're able to do that is continuous improvement and continuous practice of that stuff. So like I said, you always have you get to a place where you have to start seeing yourself as a business. There'll be yeses, there will be no's, and there are multiple reasons why there are yes and there are no. So it's not just you're the guy for it, but there are multiple factors that can lead to why you're the person for it. Pricing, subject matter knowledge, expertise, availability, what's their budget, amongst multiple stuff. And those same factors can also affect why they tell you no. So it's not why, so them telling you no is not because you're not good enough, but there are also other factors that can also affect that. So it's just like job applications. Yeah, so it's just like job applications. It's also just like vying for a deal or bidding. Yeah, because that's what it literally is. And sometimes people, when you are bidding for a deal, it means you have multiple consultants or freelancers that they are trying to pick from. So it's you trying to show your niche and put yourself different from every other person that there is there. And if that's not the case, there are some people that they call you, XYZ told me you did XYZ for them, I'm looking for something similar, and it's actually just a one phone call conversation, and they're like, I'm ready to do it, and they're paying you, and you're like, okay, hold on. So it's multiple factors, but it's a muscle that you continuously have to keep working out, you're fitting into it, you're caring for it. So you can't just be complacent and just like, if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, that's how you don't grow. That's how you stifle. And even if you were working in 9 to 5, even if you're working in 9 to 5, you can't just be comfortable with that kind of mediocrity, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you for that, Barbara. Precious, you have mentioned that you absolutely love earning money. This is kind of your motivator. So for you, kind of like when you were starting, did you have kind of like a big pricing mistake that you realized like later on, like you probably could have charged more for that project? Did you have one of those moments?
Of course. I remember the very first website I built. Then I had not even known frameworks. I was just patching HTML and CSS. So this was actually a friend who gave me this job. And you know that saying when they say is the people you know that can kill you. So so he gave me the website, like about the 4 or 5 page website. And he's a dev himself, funny enough. And he said, just help me work on it. And he told me 80K for the website. Anybody in Nigeria knows that's like way low for a website, not a single page website. But of course, I was learning and I needed to increase my portfolio and I needed money, obviously. And I did this work. It's that kind of project that when you get into the middle of the project, you're now regretting. He didn't even give me a deposit to start. I just did the work. After everything, he was like, I was done. I did some demo video and sent to him. He was like, then I didn't know how to host, with domains and stuff. So he was like, that he's going to host. So we decided to meet up. I was already happy. I didn't eat at home that day. I went out, I ate outside with the hope that, I would device project, I'll get money. I went to meet this guy and, he took everything. He took the files from me and gave me 20K and said, he wants to show it to the client and he'll give me the balance. This guy broke this remaining 60K into like 1 million pieces. It was like whenever I reminded him that he owed me, he would send me like 10K. It just made the whole project useless. The whole it felt like I didn't even do anything. So that was a lesson I learned. In fact, after that project, I never started another project without getting at least 50% of my money. So of course, that's like a whole very huge lesson for anybody who's going into freelancing to learn. Don't, even if the person is your mother, don't collect a project and say, oh, later you pay me. Is a very wrong mistake to make. So yeah, that's what I'll point out.
Okay. Adrian, do you have any?
That,
Oh,
sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
with that. It goes on to that thing of when you're starting out, sometimes there's that whole thing about maybe wanting to prove yourself or show that, oh, you are eager. Many people will actually prey on that, especially if you are just trying to start out. You just want to make a name for yourself, or even show that you can do something, just to just show work or build out your portfolio. But you also have to be very careful around that, because what it actually becomes is desperation. It's just like we know how the job market is. It's terrible right now. It's more of an employer's market, like that sport for choice. Yeah, so averagely right now it takes about 6 months for you to be able to even like get a job after continuous application, and you're doing hundreds of applications week on week or whatnot. But one thing that happens is that people can actually sense your fear, people can sense your desperation, and that is not a good place to be negotiating from, to be selling anything, because people will capitalize on it. People, human, is just human nature. They will capitalize on it. They will prey on your desperation to land a gig because you just want to eat. So sometimes, like I said, you have to embody that confidence, even if it's, oh my God, I really need this gig. Don't wear it on your face. Be fine with being told no. Be fine with walking away without anything. It saves you time and respect, which are things that are very, very important in building out your freelancing portfolio or your business. In investing or angel investing, there's something we call bad money. Not all money that people pay you are good. You just like the example that Precious, yeah, I told you, the opportunity cost of all the work she's done, the time that she spent chasing that person. Come on, at the end of the day, like, that money, even if you had plans for it, is useless to you if you have to continuously keep chasing somebody. So all of those things, all of those experience, in one way or the other, feed into your pricing strategy over time. Now there are certain conversations, or even just consulting or wanting to pick my brain. You want to book, you have, like, I'll send you a booking link with a payment link. You want to talk to me for 30 minutes, just want to pick my brain. It costs XYZ. That way we both have, you actually get to respect my time, and I also come to that conversation prepared to give you the best of what you've paid for. So it's pretty much about learning to harness and harness your value and respect your value in your time.
Adrian, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I do. I think, unfortunately, a lot of people give away, well, being someone that creates a lot of content, they give away, I would say, content for free, ideas for free, their time for free. And if you don't put a value on your time or your knowledge or expertise, then people will take what you have, remix it and sell it. And you'll realize that your ideas are potentially earning someone lots of money or are a business, but they were yours. So you have to be very careful, as Precious, I think, might have mentioned, and also Barbara, that you don't give away too much of your knowledge and your value for no cost at all, because it's not going to help you, and it affects you in the long run, obviously financially and like emotionally, because it's yours ultimately, and you should benefit from it.
Well, thank you, all three of you. Very insightful, these answers. So, kind of continued on with this theme. Can you share a moment where freelancing kind of felt impossible? Can you take us maybe to like a specific day or week, maybe, where it kind of felt impossible? Did it stem from these issues we've just spoken about? Precious, you want to go first?
Okay. I've had a lot of those moments, but if I should say I want to try and remember the very first one, I think it was when I took on a full stack gig. So like I've mentioned before, especially early in my career, I started with front end, so which meant I only knew front end. But of course, I came across a foreign client to even that who needed to work on a social media kind of project. It was really heavy, had a lot of dependencies and all of that. And as at then, I didn't even know how to go about system designs, which is like one of the first phase of when you want to build any software. But I took the project, and it was when the initial deposit landed that I was like, ha, what have I gotten myself into? Because I didn't even know where to start from, right? And then I reached out to a friend who's also like a mentor. I was like, hey, CEO, I have this project and stuff like that. And when he asked me how much did the client pay, I told him the figure, and he was like, if I'm to help, it's too small. And that money was big for me because I was looking at it from my own angle. I didn't factor in, and that takes me back to the first thing I said, where freelance teaches you collaboration. Because what I would have done first was to consult people who I knew had the other set of skills that I needed. So at the end of the day, I had to negotiate with him and talk to him. Okay, this is what we have, and I can't go back obviously to tell the client, oh, you need to add more money. That's not great. So he had to help me work on that project. But what I did while he was helping me work on the back end of things was I didn't just leave it to his table. I basically most of the times we even had to hop on calls and work together so that I could learn one or two things. And that has also transpired into other projects that I have done, whereby I now understood a lot of things about system designs, even having to go to platform like Miro to even sketch out your software architecture so you even understand before you jump right into coding. So yeah, that's one experience that I had that at some point before I even reached out to the guy in question, I was thinking of telling the clients that, what do you think if you bring in a team or something? But before I did that, I just said, okay, let me look around my network and see who I can come up with. And yeah, I was able to solve that problem.
Thank you, Precious. Adrian, considering you create content, has there kind of ever been a moment where you kind of pitch something to a client and you realize like later on they've taken it, and has that made you kind of feel really low and kind of not want to continue being a freelancer? Okay, how pick yourself up, be like, give it another go?
Personally, I'll probably learn from it. Because for me to get to the point where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore because something, obviously you've had a challenge or something bad has happened, I wouldn't advise to go into freelancing at all if you are of that, I would say, personality, or you're particularly affected. I'm not saying just be unemotional or don't be affected by anything, because I don't think that's realistic either, but you have to be able to bounce back and have an element of resilience about you. If something's gone wrong, take a step back, speak to people that are mentors or who are in the field of doing what you're doing and are further along, to advise you, okay, this is what's happened and how can I do better next time? Because again, for you to just be like, oh, I'm really upset about this, that affects your ability to carry on and do what you want to do, I would say. So it's something you've got to consider. And again, that's a case by case basis. Not everyone is, I don't think, particularly suited to do freelancing full time, particularly if they particularly will be affected by rejection, or if things have gone wrong, or the person that you're speaking to potentially could have taken your ideas or and run off with it and like did something for themselves, and which obviously that's the idea you've given them in conversation or whatever else. I think you've got to be mindful of that before you go into a conversation and protect yourself and mitigate it. Obviously you can't do it 100%, but I would say, yeah, learn from the experience, and like once you've learned from it, then you can be like better prepared next time. But don't dwell on it too much. Think of it as a lesson rather than as a oh, it's the end of the world, I think then you'll benefit from that. You'll learn from that.
Barbara, do you have anything to add? Any time when you felt like freelancing was impossible? Any time a client might have backstabbed you or anything that you want to share?
So I've never thought of it as impossible. I have a very big abundant mindset, so I don't think of anything as impossible or out of my reach. That's for starters. Secondly, treat it as anything. Continuous learning and improvement. We all don't know. There are certain experiences that you'll be faced with that, as hard and as ridiculous as it might be, it will force you with the knowledge to ensure that that does not happen again. So certain things like sharing something or work or preliminary work with a client, and they end up telling you no, they ask you to pitch and they end up telling you no, and next thing they've taken your ideas and given it to somebody else to implement. The next time, once that has happened to you, I've been there before when that has happened previously, and it was for a very large client. And what happened after that experience was I put in more, pretty much, I put in more heightened gear around that. So that would just mean like if I'm sending any deck, pitch, or whatever, there's that confidentiality clause there. So it's me protecting myself. If the ideas or whatever I have is like 5, I'll give you 2. If you want number 3, 4, 5, you gotta pay me for it. Yeah. So having those clear milestones and having that agreement, protecting yourself, like I said, treat it like a business because that's what it is. Everybody has ideas. Execution is what sets all of us apart. And every now and then we get, even not just our personal or our not personal experiences, but we see people every other day on the internet talking about how they did XYZ. An example is there's this very popular lady. She's in Manchester. She works as a freelancer, but she's built out a business out of virtual assistants. So she did like an ebook where she's teaching people how to. The ebook, I think she did a promo one time, was like for £70. Yeah, somebody bought it. And the person used her content to make their own verbatim, word for word, and sold it for 3 times the price. When she found out, she was dragging the person on the internet, on Instagram, blah, 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 blah. But like people want to talk, and people like, but she paid for it. Yeah. So experiences like that will force you to tighten. Yeah. So you tighten certain strains. Like once you've been bitten, you won't want to be in that experience again. Like having certain conversations. There are certain people that, oh, they want you to do something. They don't want to do the paperwork. They just want to have conversations on the phone. After all we've said, after the calls, I always follow up with this was what we agreed in an email. Do you get? And certain things have to do with money, especially if the person is moving funny. If it's that important and you really want me to do it, you will sign an agreement. So in case, yeah. So there are certain instances where I've built financial models for people and they were moving funny and I locked my Excel sheets. You're not going to get it until you pay me. So you have to protect yourself. It's your business. Yeah. So certain experiences will, for like, you don't go into business, you don't go into freelancing knowing everything. We all learn as we go, and upon certain experiences come up, we tighten, we strengthen, we change, we use up, we pretty much fix up and all of that. And also, like Precious said, collaboration, speaking to friends, people in your network. Yeah, because one thing that I struggled at first when I started freelancing was pricing myself. Now I don't make that mistake. I will price myself out of the room. Those that want that want me to do their stuff, they know the price, they don't mind. Do you get? They will pay it. But there's also that place for that middle ground, and that is where walking the talk, having that confidence, showing your expertise, delivering exceptional work comes into place. So for you to be able to demand or price yourself at a certain vantage point, you actually have great recommendations and referrals from clients that are satisfied. Doing good quality work on its own is like a feel to, you know, your stuff. you're good at what you do. It's good encouragement for you to be able to, okay, because the truth is, many times people say, oh, it's not this thing I want to do. Like, let's just even say just a designer, for instance. Someone wants to design a flyer. Like, I can do this on Canva. If it's so, go out, do it yourself on Canva. You're paying not just for, you're not just paying for my time, you're paying for my expertise, my experience, the hours or the years it took me to learn that thing. You get the way that I used to design. A few years ago, I stumbled upon the very first PowerPoint presentation I did, and it was for a job interview. I saw it one day and I laughed. I couldn't stop laughing because I was like, what the fuck is this? Because like now, like my friends, clients, the decks are like one of I am very adept when it comes to designing decks, whatever kind of deck it is, whether I just a sales pitch, fundraising, whatever it is, I am very great at deck. So if someone right now is hiring me to design a pitch deck for them, this is what it requires. So don't come and tell me I can simply fix that if you can actually translate your words. Because what you're asking me to do is help you translate your story, your words into actual story that is compelling to people, that will move people in the room to want to put their hand in your pocket and give it to you. So hiring a freelancer is pretty much an investment on its own. So continuously like improving and knowing your stuff and having that confidence of selling yourself is also a great way to position yourself as, I'm the guy you need. It's just like sometimes people will be like, do you want a good doctor? Do you want a humble doctor? Or do you want an arrogant doctor? Every day and now I would choose an arrogant doctor, because that arrogance costs them something. You can't just be arrogant without knowing your onions. Yeah, so like they say in my native language, good market sells itself. So continuous improvement.
Yes, thank you, all three of you, for that. Very insightful. I think overall, what do you think is the biggest misconception being kind of a freelancer is? Something is like somebody who's now just entered the industry with like, even with everything else that you've kind of spoken about, what do you think is the biggest misconception that everybody just keeps having? Barbara, do you want to go first?
So it's just like the advent of remote work. Most people, when remote work peaked, most people, especially from like black backgrounds or African backgrounds. I lived in Nigeria once upon a time before I moved out to the UK. Most of our parents just took it as maybe we're fasting away. It was not actual work. So there's that misconception that you're not serious. Like you're probably just pressing computer. Yeah, for lack of a better word. Yeah. So because there's no structure to it, many people sometimes just take it to be, oh, it's not real work you're doing. It must be very simple. It must be. So imagine someone like Precious now, like the way she sits here, she's like building wireframes and whatnot. Those are not simple things, but someone can just look at you like, oh, maybe she's just chatting and just doing whatever it is she's doing on her computer. It's real work. Just because I don't have an office space or I don't have a letterhead doesn't mean it's not real work. It is real work. It's real work. So that's where, like I said, that continuous improvement of, oh, some of the money that they're also paying you from the freelance work, you also have to invest it in yourself to also look the part. Yeah. So at some point, you probably have to open like a Notion page for starters. You don't want to do a website like, okay, we are growing, like my ministry is growing. This is what it is. So that way you also take it as a way to be accountable to yourself on building out your own stuff. It's also a great way for you to build that reputation and that credibility in the industry and set yourself apart. Because to be honest, every time they can hire you on the internet can come and tell you they're a freelancer. What makes you a freelancer? Someone just hits you up and say, can you do XYZ? And they pay you. You're a freelancer. Yeah. But there are a lot of things that sets you apart from being a freelancer to being an expert in your field. So that is the goal at the end of the day, is to move from novice, amateur to expert. And that's why I said you have to start seeing yourself as a business, and you have to start incorporating structure into being better, into looking the part, into pricing yourself better, into aesthetics, design, build a website, have your portfolio online, things like that, have it pinned on your LinkedIn. So people, you get, it's not every time. Like, so when people XYZ, you just send them stuff without having to talk too much. You get, so if they actually want to talk to you after they have read through your portfolio or whatever it is, they know what they are looking for, they know what they are in for, and you also come into those spaces prepared. So the biggest misconception is, yeah, the lack of respect, or yeah, to the world of freelancing, because we would just think it's not real work, you're just playing off having.
Do the other panelists have anything to add about what the biggest misconception people have? Or do you think it's been covered?
I think Barbara has covered most of it, especially speaking as a Nigerian. When people ask you, what do you do? I remember when I just finished school, not a few years after, and doing service. First of all, when I was staying with my mom, like when I was still staying with my parents, and I'm on my laptop, and she would nag and insult me, and you just sit down for laps. Pardon me to speak, but you just sit down for laptops if you want to do anything with your life. And I'm like, I'm literally learning stuff. And then moving on to when I started living with my sister, and because I started my freelancing journey actually with social media management. I used to manage social media account for people. And I've woken up, I've not even, used my legs to see if I can work, and I've picked up my phone and I'm pressing. And she'll want to send me a message, and I'll be like, I'm working. And she's like, which work? Which work are you doing? You're on your bed pressing phone. So the biggest misconception is actually them thinking you're not doing anything. I've had a scenario where I went for a tech event, and I was asked, then I didn't have a full-time job, and I was asked, what do you do? And I said, I'm a freelancer, and the person's reply was, so you don't have a full-time job? Freelancing is my full-time job. Like, I literally spend the whole day doing work. Like, it takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of actual hard work. It, like Barbara had said, it takes a lot of networking skills, self-management, discipline, right, to actually do what I do. So telling me I don't have a real job sounds very insulting, right? And that's like the biggest misconception. People think, oh, you're just doing this because you don't have an actual job. Meanwhile, this freelancing pays me way more than my actual job, to be honest. I can get one gig and I would even feel like quitting, because I feel like I've met my milestone, or my breakthrough has come. So yeah, I just feel like if anyone who's on here, or people who actually think like this, you should actually take it as a job to actually school them, right? And tell them that these are real skills I'm using to make money for in fact, I'm even better than you, because I don't answer to anyone. I can sleep all day and decide I want to work at night. I have control of my time. No one's gonna tell me or talk to me like trash because they're paying me some money at the end of the month. I literally, in fact, I'm the one who decide how much I want to earn, right? So that's the major misconception, and it's really sad. However, I've met people who are actually foreigners, no insult to Africans or whatever, who actually, when you tell them you're a freelancer, they're actually wowed, like, oh wow, what skills do you have? And then you now go to mention software software engineering, project management, social media, and they're like, how do you know so much? So we just need to actually clear that misconception. Yeah.
Sorry, something Precious said. Yeah, reminded me of something. So freelancers actually are at a better advantage than people with traditional work, because the experience that you like, the hands-on experience you earn as a freelancer, you learn networking, negotiating, marketing, selling yourself like you're a full-time CEO. Yeah. And because of the disrespect that's associated with the word freelancer, so yeah, that's why I present myself as a fractional executive. But we know what it is. You get, so like I remember like one time I was talking to one of my best friends. We both used to be in PwC a couple years ago. And he was like, Papa. He was like, Papa, don't bobo me. Like it means like don't be lying to me, don't be packaging yourself. Like fractional work is just part-time work. Oh. Yes, it is, but he was actually trying to get me to be one of, he was trying to hire me for a project, basically. But we're like, fractional work, but you get, but I'm a business on my own, yeah. So freelancing, it doesn't mean that you're always free. It doesn't mean that you don't earn as much as people with full-time jobs. You sometimes, like, one deal can actually give you 3 months salary of your friend or whoever it is. That, yeah, it's not a stopgap before full-time employment. You don't have less impact than someone that has a full-time job. Yeah, so you are not alone or unsupported. There are a network of people, friends that you can lean on. Like, the person with a freelance gig can even call the person with a full-time employment, depending on my workload. Can you do XYZ? Which is how I've also even sometimes opened up the eyes of certain people, like, oh, there's actually money in this. Oh, is this how you, I've had a few friends always like, oh, Barbara, how do you go about this, your freelancing? Or how do you get all these your side gigs? How do you do PP? And when I start telling them what goes into it, they're like, oh, I can't. Because to be honest, it's a whole lot of work. It is.
Perfect. Adrian, so just kind of, Precious kind of mentioned it briefly, wanted to know if you could give any further insight, but how do you kind of handle as a freelancer the always on kind of mentality that comes with freelancing? Because you're kind of always thinking about clients, kind of getting the next opportunity.
Yeah. Again, I would say, if you have in mind what you want to do and you enjoy doing it, it doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like something that you enjoy doing. You're getting paid for it. So I would say also, with being a freelancer, unlike a 9 to 5, you still have to have work-life balance, because you can't be constantly although as some people can be, as I've worked in business development and sales for a lot of my career, not all of it, I have come across people that are very salesy all the time, and it is very off-putting. It's like, you don't have to sell yourself constantly 24/7. You can, like, switch off. So you have to have a balance and kind of understand when you need to network, and also when you need to rest and have hobbies and do other things, because it makes you a more rounded person. You can't be constantly on all the time, because that's not realistic, and it's not helping you ultimately. You need to decompress and you need to rest, so you can go on and pour from a full cup rather than an empty one. It will benefit you in the long run, and you'll have the energy when you need to really go and do the work that you need to do and present. You can't be constantly be on, and I wouldn't recommend doing that personally.
Thank you. Precious, I know you've mentioned earlier that you love money. So how do you kind of like balance that with like having maybe an always on mentality? Is there any tips or tricks that you would like to give people about it?
When you say always on, like
Just always thinking
working.
about work, yeah, networking, getting the next project.
Right now, am I the best person to give this advice? But I mean, one thing is actually taking a break, deciding to just shut people out when you actually need it. Because if you don't do that, you're gonna burn out, and it's going to affect your work, and it's going to affect the output of your work. Another thing that I do is also outsourcing or delegating. That's something I really struggle with, because I'm the kind of person that feels like nobody can do it as good as I would, right? But over the years, I've been able to learn how to delegate. So how I approached this was, there was this tech event I went for. I met a guy there, and he just reached out to me, networked with me. I was a speaker at the event, so he networked with me, and we took our contact. And he's always seeing me post stuff about tech, and every now and then he will always send a DM, oh, I want to learn, I don't mind working for you for free. And I just ignore, because I'm like, nah, this one doesn't even have the skills. But there was a time that I was so packed, like that period, I took too much job that I could handle, and I was really, really packed. And I reached out to him. I reached out to him, and he was open to working for me. But of course, I'm somebody who believes in, I don't take work for free, because I feel like if I don't give you something in return, you're just gonna do rubbish for me. So that was how I took him under my wing like an intern. And I think for a couple of months, it was a pain because at some point I'm like, should I just do this thing myself? For everything, for every code he wrote, I had to review and review and review. But now he's gotten to the point where I can give him a task and I'm confident that he would do it the way I want. Now, if I had not, learned how to delegate, learn how to, what's the word to use? Train, right? Train someone to do the things the way I do it, then I wouldn't even be able to handle a lot of workload that I do right now. And also, another key thing is also collaboration. I like to think of myself as a motivated person. Like I said, money is my motivation. Somebody comes to me I've freelanced as a cook before. I used to cook for people, right? So I used to take different things. I can take project management stuff. I can take social media. People even still come to me for business analysis, of which maybe because I've done it for them one time. But my passion lies in software engineering. So what do? I have a network of people who do these skills. So now if I get a client who says, oh, I need a project manager to handle this and this for me, I reach out to someone in my network who I know is really good at this. And of course, my cut is there. So if you are charging the client a so amount, you're putting, my own fee on top, and that's still another form of freelancing, right? Because I am the connect to the client, you're doing the work, and I'm still getting paid. I'm really not doing anything. I'm just the connector. So yeah, those are just some of the tricks that I could mention. Getting rest. If you know you're the one who do most of the work, getting rest when you need to, because if you don't rest, your body is going to force you to rest. And networking, and also learning how to delegate.
Okay, thank you. So I think we've got time for just two more questions. So is there any way that you guys have kind of supported any women who've kind of entered the space in terms of freelancing? Barbara, do you want to go and say like anything you've done, any suggestions you've given them in the beginning?
So to be honest, I believe in sending the ladder down for starters. So outside of my structured mentorship or mentor-mentee relationships that I have, I am involved in some formal mentoring of younger people, entry level people who people are seeking to get into a new field. Sometimes it could be into fractional work, sometimes it could be startup founders or whatnot. So I believe in sending the ladder down. There are past work associates at old jobs I used to work on who at some certain point reach out to me like, hey Barbara, I'd like you to be my mentor. The first time that actually happened, I laughed because like, oh my God, oh, what is this guy? Because, and again, it was a guy, like, what does this guy want from me? So for me, mentorship is not about, oh, do this, do that. I believe in doing and showing. You get, this is how I'm doing it. So there's always that open access sometimes to tag along or bring them into certain things I am doing and have them do it together with me. I'm someone who learns by doing. Yeah, so that's even in new job roles or whatnot, I learn by doing. You tell me or you show me how to do something, I want to do it alongside with you. So I take that agile or coaching methodology when it comes to helping people, more than the mentoring frameworks that most people put out there. So yes, I try to now, like my time around that is limited given the multiple hats that I wear. So I used to do, what is the word? What's it called again? Jesus Christ. Yeah. So Precious, I think you also do it too. Tim is the founder of the platform. But yeah, so I used to be a mentor on one of these other platforms, but and I had like an open calendar for it. But at some point I had to close it because I also have other work commitments. And that's also where burnout and stress comes into play, because you can't always be functioning like a machine. You also need to take breaks. You also need to care for yourself. You also need to eat. You also need to like rest your brain. You can always be active, because you can't give your best forward. You can give or pour from an empty cup. You can't help somebody who is trying to learn the ropes or trying to get started if you're doing it from a stressed out place. So taking care of yourself is very important for starters. Yeah, so setting ladder downs. I'm open to having conversations every now and then when people reach out to me around certain things. There are boundaries around that. There are certain things that, I can give guidelines or pointers around, and there are certain things that it has to be paid for because it's my time and whatnot to get done. So that's how I pretty much navigate that.
Thank you. Adria, do you have any stories you want to share of how you've kind of, helped women entering into the freelance space?
I would, pardon me, I would say that I have spoken to people on an ad hoc basis, and people that have reached out, particularly around tech and how to get into the freelance space. Or I would say if they want to do a side hustle. So I've done it again on a very ad hoc basis. And I find it does help, because in doing that, you are helping someone and you're increasing your network, you're increasing your ability to collaborate in the future by obviously sharing kind of your expertise and ideas. But also I have a limit on how long I will speak to that person, and what about it has to be very specific. So it can't be a lot of my time and not the majority of my time, because again, it's like my time and my ideas and my knowledge and everything else, it is worth something, and you have to put a value on it, because it could get into the space of you spending too much time doing things for no cost free, and then you actually should be charging, because what you're getting into is the consultancy space, because you are giving ideas, you are giving solutions. So you have to have boundaries, and you have to be very clear about what you will and will not do, and what is free and what isn't. So again, some structure around that as well, I would say. But yes, I do from time to time. When people do reach out, I do have a short conversation with them around things that I have knowledge of as well. I won't talk about things that I don't, but if I don't know about a subject or particular kind of sector, I will signpost people to maybe other people that I know will be able to help, or resources. So again, that's helping in a way, and I don't want to kind of give information that is either wrong or misleading. So that's what I like to do.
Perfect. So the final question for you all before we kind of go into our Q&A section is, if you could take one thing from today, let it be. What would you like the audience to take from of everything we've kind of discussed today? So if you take one thing from today, let it be. Precious, do you want to go first?
If you could take one thing from today, I think it's basically believing in yourself, not limiting yourself to a certain kind of mindset. If you're looking to start freelancing and you have fears, maybe skills fear, finances fear, just start. Don't limit yourself, and always, ponder about issues or problems when you've not faced it yet. When you start, then you face it. I'm a believer of I will cross the bridge when I get there, right? So I always take things head on. So, and 80% of the time, trust me, when you actually face problems, solutions will actually come. Because if you don't actually face them head on, you won't get solutions, right? So if you're looking to start freelancing, which I believe is why you joined this webinar, just start. Don't just blank out voices that are giving you 1001 scenarios that could happen, or how you could fail. Just start, and then when you encounter these problems, there will always be solutions one way or the other. Yeah, so that's what I would just say.
Perfect. Thank you, Precious. Adrienne, do you want to go next?
yeah, I would say one thing for me would be your network, your community. I think a lot of people say it as a cliche, is it your network is your net worth, but it's so important to have the so a range of people that can kind of advise you and support you, especially if you're going on the freelance journey. So yeah, definitely reach out to people, ask for support, ask for help, because in the long run, it could be that like in the future they'll do the same. So it's reciprocal. So I would say, yeah, definitely build your network, build your community, so that will help you along the way.
Thank you. And last but not least, Barbara.
Okay, so if I were to reiterate anything or take something away from this, it would be that freelancing, freelancing is not unserious work. It's not a stopgap. If for anything, it's about agency. It's about building confidence, building from the ground up, learning to pour into yourself. It's about designing freedom for yourself, a pathway into wealth creation, establishing something really good for you, for you. Yeah, like I said, think you get at some point you get think of it as a business, but sometimes you don't even know what business you want to get into without playing around multiple tools, industries, solving different problems. So freelancing gives you that access or that ease to have agency or freedom to create, to build, to solve problems or really challenging work across multiple industries. Yeah, so and for you to be able to build your own self-confidence, challenge yourself, grow inwardly and externally, and pretty much, yeah, the sky's the limit.
Perfect. Thank you. So I'm gonna go pull up the Q&As that we've kind of got from everybody who's been on the call. So we'll start with the first question that we've gotten. How do you manage when there's no new clients coming in? How do you stay motivated? Is there anyone in particular who wants to take this one? Precious, Barbara, Adrienne?
I think we did cover it already, but to
Yeah.
reiterate.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I'm not gonna lie. I'm rarely bothered when there are no clients because I have my full-time work, which is already like a load on its own. But of course, I get bothered when it stays for too long, maybe 2-3 months. And then I try to do a couple of things that could potentially attract clients. One thing I do is I engage a lot with tech contacts on Instagram, on LinkedIn, or wherever. I've had people reach out to me from a blog post I wrote about SSH keys on Medium. I've had a client reach out to me from a simple comment I dropped on Instagram, and it's like, oh, I went through your profile, I see you're a software engineer, because I post my work on my page, and that was how I got a gig. So maybe when I've been too engrossed in work and I've not been engaging social media, and then there's no clients and I just engage, and one way or the other it always turns up. And also my network most times also bring me referrals. If I guess so sometimes when I reject some referrals because I'm overloaded. But yeah, if there are no gigs coming in, I would just say just try to do certain things that you can do that could potentially attract people to you. People give work to who they see out there or who they believe have the knowledge. So if you're not putting yourself on social media, for instance, maybe writing blogs, maybe creating content around what you do, or just commenting or making noise on Twitter, people won't really see you. Yeah, so that's what I would advise.
Perfect. The next question is, when starting out, did anyone on the panel need any investment to start assist with startup? No.
Sorry, say that again.
When starting out, did anyone on the panel need any investment to start assist with the startup?
So investments to start up. Sorry. Repeat
I
that
think
again. Sorry.
I think what they mean is like, did any of you need any like outside investment to kind of start freelancing, or did you kind of just like go
No,
with it?
so yeah, so in my experience, you start small, you start with what you have. Yeah. So when you're getting investments and you're getting started, you're not going freelancer anymore. Like, you're already set up. Yeah. So I would say, like, start with what you have. Yeah. What are you good at right now? Yeah. What is one skill that if you were sleeping and someone tapped you up, what are you great at? What is that thing that you can confidently hold yourself accountable? Like, oh yeah, I'm really good at this. Start with that and start seeing what problems you can solve creatively with that. Yeah. So I did not start up with any investments financially. The only investment that I had starting out as a freelancer were the skill sets that I had built or acquired over time. The investments I had were the tools that are available to me, LinkedIn and whatnot. The investments I had were my network and referrals, which is something I still tap into continuously or consciously to get stuff done. And sometimes when business is down or there are no referrals, I sometimes go in and update update setting availability or settings on GuidePoint or Newton X. Those are some platforms where I provide consultancy uh consultancy on. Yeah, so I sometimes, yeah, when things are down, okay, go toggle XYZ on Fiverr, Upwork, go and say I am available for XYZ and put those things out. So those are the investments that I would say that I started with, that I still have, that I'm still consciously growing.
Yes, Precious.
Yeah, and I think just to add as well to what Barbara has said, another investment you should think of is also your tools to work. So if you're going into something remote or tech related or writing and stuff, you know, you need to have tools like your laptop, maybe some AI subscriptions to make things easy for you. And to be honest, aside the laptop, I don't think the other ones cost so much. They don't cost a neck. So yeah, once you have your laptop and you have, if you're a writer, if you have maybe like Grammarly or ChatGPT, that's basically what you need. It's not like Barbara says, it's not a startups like company. It's just a skills. Yeah.
Okay. So the next question is, how do I start in tech as a beginner with no idea but interested in it? Where can I get the basics? I mean, I think I could add a little to this. I feel like YouTube is like the best place to kind of get the basics. Maybe if you're interested in like software engineering, start on a couple projects, kind of like build out your portfolio as much as you can. I feel like that's, at least for me, kind of one of the ways I started in the tech world. I don't know if the panel wants to add anything else to that.
Yeah, so I do have something to add. So when we talk about tech, many times people think of it as technical people. I'm a non-technical person who works in tech, in digital technology. So there are two folds to it. So start with, what actual skill set do you have and are they transferable? How can you make that and polish that? Also start applying or start looking for low-level roles, internships where possible. Take nano degrees or courses, LinkedIn Learning, Coursera, and the rest of them to boost that. Talk to people within your circles. They can refer you. Like, I remember, like, someone's asked me last year, like, oh, they wanted to get into panel discussions and whatnot, because I seem to book or attract a lot of those. And she's like, how do I get started? I said, you're telling me, tell somebody. That's how you get started. So the next time, I'm like, how? I said, when you tell somebody this is what you're looking to do, next time, if they're in an environment that requires such, they will refer you. So yeah, so one time I was asked to moderate an event that I was not ready for. I was about to say that, I remember, oh, this person was like, okay, this is like a training ground for you. Are you available to do XYZ? So yeah, so send the ladder down. So get curious, get started with what you have. Yeah, that's what I say.
Adrienne, do you have anything to add?
There's another platform called FutureLearn that's very good in terms of courses, like tech courses and other courses. I would say, do some basic learning. Again, look at what skills you have, as Barbara said. and start with that. And then once you understand exactly what you want to do in terms of, oh, I really enjoy this particular aspect of tech, whether it's technical or non-technical, hone in on that and like increase your skills in those areas and practice. If it is something like UX design or developing or software engineering, get the practical practice in, use your knowledge to actually do practical projects so you can show what you can do. And that builds your portfolio, it builds your confidence as well. So I would say, yeah, do that.
Thank you. Okay, another question is, how do you say no to projects that might not align with your vision? Precious, do you want to take that question?
By saying no. That just say no. I've had funny project requests that sometimes go against my moral belief, and stuff like that, or just some projects that I just can't do it, and I just say no. Even as a person, generally, you need to learn how to say no when you want to say no and stand by your no. Yeah, so that I don't think there's any techniques to that, to be honest.
Shonda Rhimes said a few years ago, no is a complete sentence, and I chiefly believe in it. I also get that there's a context to it, especially with people, especially for Black people or ethnical people. Like saying no sometimes can feel hard or different to say, like, you just said no, yeah, but it's a muscle that you need to train, flex, yeah. But yeah, that's sometimes that maybe someone you say no and someone will push. The easiest way to cop out is, I'm unavailable for this. You don't have to. I don't believe in over explaining, especially if someone's not paying me. Why am I over explaining? So no, sorry, I can't take this on right now. I'm unavailable. I have a lot going on. Yeah, simple. Whatever. If you don't want to go into the explanation of you don't want to do it because it's against this, or you don't believe in this, or just no. And if you want to go further, I'm unavailable for this, just keep it moving.
Perfect. Adrian, I think this next question could be a good one for you. What would you recommend as a form of marketing? I'm planning to provide some free advice and resources and have the opportunity to do some blogs on a subject area to give that added value and show that I am a thought leader.
In terms of marketing, I would say use what platforms you have already that are free. So if you haven't got a LinkedIn, why haven't you got a LinkedIn? And use that as your showcase for what you're doing. Understand how to use it, utilize it, connect with people in the same field as you, or even colleagues that you know, like past or present. Use that as a showcase, post regularly, comment on other people's posts that are related to what you're doing. Network online or offline. But I would say be very intentional with what you're doing. Don't post for the sake of posting. Don't comment on everything. Don't be all things to all people. I would say it's sometimes better to be a specialist and be knowledgeable about a subject rather than being a jack of all trades, because then people assume that, oh, your knowledge isn't particularly broad or wide enough. You're not specializing, so you're spreading yourself too thinly, and people could take that as you being someone that is, oh, you do everything, right? So we can hire you to do everything. It's better to be a specialist, I would say, because then your rates are higher and you can charge more for your service as you go along, because you have that knowledge, you have those expertise, you can be an expert in that field. So I would say just be present on social media, use the platforms that you have already, utilize them, they're free. And I would also say connect your the media that you do have. So I connect my stories on Instagram and LinkedIn, so they post at the same time. There's links to my blog and my newsletter on my personal Instagram, and it's right at the top. So there's an opportunity to showcase what you do on your social media, and it's free. It doesn't cost anything. And in terms of gaining knowledge, again, use the tools that you have. Use LinkedIn Learning, use Future Learn, YouTube, in order to get those skills up in terms of utilizing your content. And I would also recommend using Canva, because when you do post, it is nice to have a template or things that are ready to go, and you can post and it looks kind of clean and it's professional, and you can develop your design style and you have an impact because you're unique and it's unique to you. So that's your USP. I would say if you do all of that, not all at once, obviously, but yeah, just be very intentional with what you're doing and be very strategic with your time and where you're posting and what you're posting about. Don't post about everything, because you're not for everyone and you can't do everything. But if you do things strategically, you will be able to kind of move forward and get that experience and get more clients and charge more because you've got that experience, and then people recommend you once you're able to deliver, and they can say, oh, I don't know what the lady or gentleman kind of asked the question, but then people do mention you in posts, and other bloggers kind of think, oh, potentially there's collaboration there, and you grow that way. So yeah, I would say if you do all of those things, it will help.
Thank you. Yes, Precious.
Yeah, another Andrea said something about intentionality that actually made me remember how a former colleague got referred by me to the company I worked with before. We went for a tech event, and my company had a stand there, and she had flyers, and she was just going around giving people flyers that had like what she does on a QR code. When you scan it, it goes to her portfolio. It was so intentional that I took the flyer and I kept it because she was a UI UX designer. And then I knew that we needed such skill. And when I got to the office, I just dropped the flyer out at the HR team, and that was how she got called in and stuff. So if you're doing, I also have a friend, he's a research writer. Whenever he goes out, sometimes he just wears his shirt that has his handle and stuff and just goes out, and he has testified that a couple of times people actually do, reach out to him just because of the shirt. Maybe they scan the shirt or something. So I mean, whatever you're doing, just be intentional about it. If you're doing it online, if you're going out or whatever, just be very intentional and be creative as well. The creativity sometimes is what catches people, to draw attention to you.
Thank you. So another question we have from the audience is, does anyone refer to what you do as consultancy, or are you just referred to as a freelancer in your field? I only ask as I'm considering the name of my business.
So, like I said, it's to each their own. Freelancing, consultancy, fractional work, whatever it is you call it, it's still the same thing. Advisory, that's another way to go about it. It's still the same thing. Um, it's all language. Yeah, it's all language. So choose what works best for you or what you think is fitting.
Yeah. Okay. Precious, I think this is a good question for you. How do you stick to your rates when clients keep saying it's too expensive for them?
How do you stick to your rates when they say it's too expensive?
Yes.
I will tell you that it's if the budget is way below what I can extend to, and sometimes I will offer to refer you to someone who could do it for that price, but not to me. So yeah, I think another way is before you just resolve to not doing it or just giving up, you could also let them know or see the value of what they're gonna get for that price, so that they're not just seeing a figure, they're seeing the value. And trust me, most times when you do that, people will actually just be like, okay, if I pay her this, I get this and this and this, and and also give them the guarantee. Sometimes I even tell them, if the website does not work, come back, I will refund you. Or if the website does not do this, or if the website does not get you this traction you need, come back, I will refund you. And that statement alone gives some, maybe like, this girl, So they want to even try, let me even see what she's all about. So yeah, before you actually just resolve and give up, and just try to let them see the value that you offer. And then if they're not budging, they have a fixed rate, you could also pitch to them like, okay, I can take this money, but this is what I can do. It might not fit the whole scope of what you want. Sometimes they could go with that, but if they are, very stubborn, just tell them no or refer them to. There's always someone who will do it lesser anyway. So yeah.
Also, I would say have a base rate, have a benchmark that you're not going to go less than. So let's say for instance, you're pricing yourself at £70, but you would not go anything less than 50. Yeah, stick to that. You can also look and take on the alternative solutions that Precious mentioned. Okay, do £50 worth of work if £50 is their budget. Do £50 worth of work, and give certain, definitely in your pricing there'll always be that structure, that breakdown of why of oh, this is the cost associated with this, that, without necessarily over explaining, because I personally don't care for it while explaining. If I have to come and start selling you on something that you want from me, that you approached me for, yeah, I'm not the person for you. So be fine with walking away, sending them a referral. I also try to be very careful with sending referrals, because I would not want to send somebody a problem if I already know that the client is problematic. Yeah, just because I know someone will do it for less does not mean I should give them that headache. Yeah, because yeah, so yeah.
Ajin, do you have anything else to add?
I would say, yeah, just know what your minimum is in terms of what your rates are, and yeah, show examples of your work to show, well, this is what you're getting for what I'm charging. But again, don't get to the point where you're spending a lot of time and energy trying to persuade someone of something they've asked you to provide, because you could be actually working with other clients and other organizations, and it becomes a waste of time, because ultimately it's one out of how many like clients you could have. So yeah, just know when to stop as well, I would say.
Thank you for your insight. So, final question. I have a load of transferable skills from my healthcare background, but I'm now looking to pivot into tech. I've found I really enjoy data analysis and deriving actionable insights, so I'm working on building up my skills further. What freelance role will be best suited for me? Anybody want to take this? Precious, Barbara?
Healthcare to tech. For every skill you have, there's always a way to monetize it. You could go into trainings, train people how to do what you know how to do. You could go into content creation, put content out there on your social media pages that could actually, get the traction, and even the platform itself is going to pay you when you start getting the traction. You could also do. I can't really. You could also, if you're adventurous enough, you could decide to maybe come up with an idea that is gonna streamline healthcare in some way. Basically, build a platform, that basically does something way easier or helps to make a certain aspect of healthcare more seamless for people. But that's if you're going through the adventurous route, because that comes with a whole new ballgame. But yeah, these are what I can come up with at the moment.
Okay. I've actually found another question. So there is, for those on the panel who worked across industries, what's your advice on making a niche background visible and relevant in freelance markets? How do you spot the skills that translate and communicate them in a way clients understand? For context, my background is in libraries and cultural heritage, museums, archives, tech things like working with vendors, systems and integrations, and incident/service management. It's quite a niche space.
So I would say it goes back to transferable skills. Yeah. And there are certain roles that the day to day, the job description is the same thing. The title is just different. So when I hear things like library studies, I heard something around procurement or supplier or something management. All of that goes into sourcing. Depending on the industry, it's called sourcing. And that industry is procurement. And that industry is consultancy. But the main problem that you're solving is finding quality people, suppliers, or vendors to get something delivered. The main job function of what you do is execution. Then, if we're talking about library studies, that somehow goes into literature or curation, and also something around cultural and development. So each industry has its own language for describing whatever it is that you're looking to do, but those skills are transferable. Yeah, or those skills are transferable. So pretty much it's knowing who your audience are, your ideal customer profile, your ICP, so and communicating in their language. So if you are speaking to people in the certain industry, you use the language relevant to that. And there are some in between neutral language actually captures all of that. And if you are trying to do it like in an open market kind of way, you can pretty much just segment it and say, oh, these services that I offer are relevant to XYZ industry. And that way you're able to streamline it. Yeah. So that's how I will advise you package that.
Perfect. I want to thank all three of you for giving up your time before I hand over to Hannah. Very insightful after you sat here and like answered all my questions. So thank you very much. Round of applause. And I'm gonna hand over to Hannah to kind of close out this webinar. So you're up, Hannah.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you guys so much. This has been an absolute breath of fresh air, and just getting to hear the different perspectives from each of you, because you're all in different sort of areas within freelance. So getting those insights from you guys has been amazing. So I really do appreciate that. And absolutely well done to Carissa. Can we get a big round of applause? Thank you so much for keeping us in line, keeping to time, and just driving that conversation to really draw some insightful things. I'm going to be quoting you guys, okay? Just get ready for me to be tagging you on social media, quoting, Precious with "Get your money up, girl." Okay, so just get ready. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna pull up this presentation again. No, pressed the wrong button. But I'm sure everyone here tonight will agree with me. Yes, we're getting the thank yous in. Amazing. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so just to round off before we leave tonight, can everybody see my screen? Okay. So this evening was brought to you by Neo Labs. So Neo Labs is our edtech platform that supports women get into tech through self-paced learning modules. I know a lot of you guys mentioned about how can I get the skills, how can I do X, Y, and Z. Neo Labs is a perfect platform to start your learning journey on, or to help you develop those skills that will take you to that next level in your career. We focus on sprint learning, so nothing is more than like 10 minutes long. The different modules have bite-sized chapters where you can just absorb that information quickly. You get to do a quiz at the end to make sure that you actually understand what you're learning. And this feature just coming up now is learning with a buddy, because sometimes learning with others is much more better, that's not a sentence, is much better than learning on your own. With the Learn with a Friend or Learn with a Buddy, it also allows you to have more accountability, have someone who is also driving you to continue to learn. Because I don't know about you, but me, I like learning with others because I will get distracted and I will forget to continue on a learning process. So I do like that accountability partner. Another feature of Neolabs is our gamification, where upon completing a course or getting a series, being on the platform for X amount of days in a row, you earn points, which then moves you up and down in the ranking to then, what's the word I'm looking for? To then use those points in the Neolab store to get access to books, events, other features that we will then keep adding to the platform. We're still really young. We launched back in October, but we are doing big things and more changes are coming. More changes are coming this September, which I'm really, really excited for. I'm not going to tell you here. You're going to have to wait and see. You're going to have to be part of the community to wait and see of the new features that will be coming in September. Really, really exciting stuff, guys. Really stuff focused on community. Community and communication as well, making it easier for us to communicate with you guys. So yeah, I just wanted to show you some of those things, some of the features of Neolabs. You can sign up right now for absolutely free for 30 days to explore the platform and see what's in it for you. You can scan the QR code right here on the screen, and we'll take you to Neolabs to sign up. You'll also get the follow-up email will contain a link to it. So if you don't scan it now, don't worry about it. Another thing that's coming up for Neo is really exciting at Neo right now. So another thing that's coming up is NeoFest 2025. We had our first NeoFest last October, and we are having NeoFest again this year. It'll be in November, and you can sign up for the waiting list for when tickets come out. So please do give that a quick scan and sign up to join us at NeoFest 2025. Really, really exciting. We plan to do this every year, and it's going to be a mix of talks. And this year, we're also including a hackathon. So yeah, really, really exciting things coming up for Neo. And just a final plug, I'm just throwing it at you this evening. A final plug for me is our next webinar. Our next webinar is about AI in business, AI agents. I'm sure if not everyone, most of you have heard of AI agents. And in this talk, Thursday the 4th of September, we are going to explore with Pfizer how you can build your own AI agent, how you can utilize AI agents, which is especially beneficial for entrepreneurs, freelancers, solopreneurs, and just helping day to day with sort of managing your workload more effectively. So we're limiting burnout, basically. So please do join us. Scan this QR code on the side. It will take you to the page where you can register for our upcoming events, and you can also see other events that are coming up as well. So in terms of what's next after AI in business, we actually have our first in-person event of the year, and that will be with a special guest, Amber Shand, the founder of She Bites Back. I don't know if you guys have heard about her, but she's a software engineer turned sort of tech voice. She's a voice of tech right now. So she's a big name in tech. So she will be sort of facilitating a networking session for us at our Tech Connect Women in Tech Happy Hour. It's going to be 2 hours long. It's not just an hour. It's going to be 2 hours long. And it will be split between lightning talks from women in the tech industry in Birmingham, We have currently 4 people confirmed, and we're looking for just one more. So if you're in Birmingham or you know someone in Birmingham who would like to do a lightning talk to fellow women in Birmingham in person on the 18th, on the 18th of September, please do have them drop me a message, hannah@neo.co, and I will gladly speak and engage with them and see how we can collaborate. But yeah, those are the next 2 exciting things that are coming up. We also have loads more events coming up in October. We have a couple of events that we're doing in partnership or in collaboration with other businesses, other companies. So really, really exciting time for me personally, because this is like my bread and butter, and I truly do enjoy bringing these things to you guys. And like I said, tell me what you want and I will try to bring it to you. So scan the QR code and you can join us at our next event. Okay. And finally, again, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. I want you guys to give another round of applause to our amazing panelists and our amazing hosts for the evening. Absolutely well done, absolutely brilliant. And I've been taking notes. Again, I'm a note taker, and I've been taking notes from tonight. And you guys are so inspiring, so motivational, and I really do appreciate you guys taking the time out to be here with us tonight and to share your experience, your ups, your downs, and yeah, just giving that advice to inspire the next set of women coming up in freelancing in tech. So thank you guys so, so much. And thank you to an amazing audience who have been here from the start to now, who have been engaging, who has asked questions, who have been reacting to things. Thank you guys so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Again, 4th of September, that's our next event, but it does not stop there. Okay, guys, it does not stop there. We are planning more. I'm planning more. I'm going to be at each and every one of them. So I hope to see you guys there too. So thank you so much and have a great evening. And we will see you soon. Bye. Good evening, everyone. Bye.